Stargazing with the Las Vegas Astronomical Society at Spring Mountain Ranch outside Las Vegas. Like any big city, Las Vegas is way too bright at night to be able to observe much of the night sky. However, since we're in a bowl surrounded by mountains, as soon as you pass over a ridge, it is surprising how much you can see. You do not need to travel hours away. Only about half an hour from the edge of the city, it is possible to look up at the night sky and marvel at the stars. Every month, except for December, the Las Vegas Astronomical Society meets at the Spring Mountain Ranch State Park. It's only about a 20-minute drive away from the western edge of the city, and they welcome everyone to come join them to gaze up to the skies. On Saturday, the gates to this special event opened at 5 and it was open till 7:30. It costs $10 for entry to the park, but you can enter for free if you have a state park pass. The event itself runs until 8:30. Once you pass the entrance, you drive a short while down the road to a very nicely organized parking area. Then you walk along a very well-lit pathway to the event area. Some people had paid attention to the announcement and came armed with red flashlights. Some idiots were blinding us with their bright white flashlights. But honestly, you don't need either. The walkway is lined with low illumination lights, and the area around the telescopes had plenty of red lights to give more than enough illumination for safety. So don't be that person. Leave your stupid headlights at home. And in fact, I hope the family that was blinding everybody with their huge headlamps all develop an itch they cannot scratch. Headlamps are even worse than flashlights, as they seem to not have any idea that they were blinding everybody they were looking at. I arrived just after 5, just late enough to miss the sunset, unfortunately. But as the skies darkened some more, I was able to identify the only constellation in the northern hemisphere that I know, Orion. The Las Vegas Astronomical Society had numerous very large telescopes set up and was more than happy to explain to everyone what they were aimed at, what to look out for, and just general astronomical tidbits. The stars of the show, though not stars themselves, were the Moon, Jupiter and her moons, Saturn, and the Orion Nebula. Yes, it is entirely possible to see all of these online in much greater magnification. But there really is still an awe-inspiring majesty in seeing these objects through a telescope. It is like the difference between seeing the video of a bear and seeing a bear in person. Yes, the video of the bear can be more interesting and in detail, but somehow seeing the bear in person, even just as a small object moving in the distance, has a majesty that cannot be reproduced. The moon, being really close, was of course the most detailed. It was a sickle moon on the night, and the contrast between the black and the visible parts made it seem more personal. It wasn't just the moon, it was that moon on that night, and you can look through a telescope and pick out the craters on that moon on that night. Many other telescopes were aimed at Jupiter. Even with the big telescopes, Jupiter is a bit of a blob in space, drifting more and less into focus due to the disturbances in the sky. But even then, if you look long enough, it almost fades into focus and you can clearly see the bands of different colors. And then these geniuses would magically change the focus, and instead of the blob of Saturn with flickering patterns of her, she's just bright white, and trailing away from her, you could see clearly visible 3 other bright lights, her moons. The middle star of the Sword of Orion is actually the Orion Nebula. It is the closest region of massive star formation from Earth. And it's impressive in that it's not just a dot of light, but a grey mist against the night sky through a good telescope. Right now, the rings of Saturn is almost straight on and only visible as a thin line. Going back in a few months' time, the angle of the rings will have changed and the rings will appear thicker. Even straight on, the rings are super impressive though, and we were in awe. In addition to looking through telescopes, there were some members pointing out various constellations. I'm still only going to remember Orion. The 3 bright stars of the belt makes it easy to find. But I was happy to follow direction and to identify more. Spending an evening watching the stars with the Las Vegas Astronomical Society is well worth the drive. The locals knows, and they know that all the stars in Las Vegas is not just on the Strip. If you know where to look, you can find them in the night sky too.